Thank you all so much for coming. This is the Oncology Innovation Panel, and last year was a lot more exciting year in oncology by this time. JP Morgan with Celgene acquisition and other companies being acquired, but there's still a lot going on. And I think first we'll introduce the panelists and then kind of dive right into it. So I'm Travis Whitfield, a partner at Bios Partners, and we invest in early stage therapeutics. Where we've invested in about 3 or 4 oncology companies. I'm on the board of a cell therapy company called Sciences Therapeutics that's using gamma delta T cells for immuno-oncology, and have done some other plays in oncology as well. And so first, let's go ahead and introduce the panelists. 1 or 2 minutes each.
Okay, I think although there's no recent big news, it's still a very exciting year for oncology. Here at JP Morgan, we see many new cell therapy and IO approaches. We are very excited about it. My name is Claudia Kandach, and I'm leading Bayer's partnering activities in the field of oncology. By training, I'm a physician scientist, and I started actually my career here in San Francisco at the UVA Medical Center at UCSF, and then I moved into industry. And I moved from San Francisco to the East Coast. I completely forgot about the snow part. And every time I'm back, I'm kind of reevaluating if I did the right move. But of course, oncology is very exciting. At Bayer, we are kind of deal structure agnostic. We have a BD&L department that actually handles licensing and M&A. And then we have a group that is a group called LEAPS, L-E-A-P-S. And you all should look up our website. It's a beautiful, beautiful story how we came up with the name LEAPS and what's behind LEAPS. And LEAPS is our corporate investor arm, and we did recent equity investments in BlueRock, which we acquired in 2019. We did investments in Century, Pyxis, Chloris, and other companies. We do not only pharma, we do also ag, and we do consumer care.
And LEAPS has a nice logo downstairs.
Oh yeah, I had to mention it.
Okay. My name is Mark Quill. I'm the founder and manager of Aglaya Oncology Funds, and we have a dedicated fund, and we only do oncology drug development. And within this field, so no diagnostics, no devices, only drug development. And we are really venturing, so we start a number of the companies ourselves, or we join companies at a very early stage, in seed or Series A. Within the drug development field, we are agnostic about the technology. So it goes from oncology to chemotherapy, to all the different applications.
My name is Mike Krebs. I'm with Bright Edge, and Bright Edge is the venture wing of the American Cancer Society. So in terms of my background, I am a scientist by training in genomics. Went into consulting for a number of years after working as a scientist for the Department of Defense. Went into life science consulting for a company called Charles River Associates. I just joined Bright Edge about 6 months ago. And so Bright Edge was launched last January at JP Morgan, so we're just a year old. And we're investing in anything that's aligned from a mission perspective with the American Cancer Society. So we're agnostic in terms of sector. We have 4 investments to date, 1 therapeutics, 2 diagnostics, 1 tech-enabled services, anything that we feel is going to deliver both a return in addition to really kind of accelerating care for cancer patients is kind of right now with us.
I'm Makan Goker. I'm representing corporate venture of BNP Ventures. We heavily invest in oncology. We have a green fund, 325 million euros. We invest globally. I'm a scientist by background, PhD postdoc in oncology, driving venture at Atlas, and venture for the last 6 years. Trying to build an early stage portfolio, oncology, immuno-oncology, fertility, and autoimmune therapeutic areas of interest.
Great. So, in advance of this panel, I was looking at PitchBook, looking at the aggregate data from last year. There's $114 billion at least invested in oncology from an M&A perspective. So there's tons of M&A. Obviously, Celgene was last year, Array, Loxo, Arcule, Peloton, some really interesting acquisitions. So I'm curious kind of what your perspectives are, looking at 2020, what are the trends moving forward in M&A, just kind of from the pharma or the biotech perspective?
Yeah, maybe I can kick off because this is maybe at least my experience part. But I believe from the M&A perspective, the very early stage companies, what we see right now is that big pharma is really looking for novel technologies, and we see an increased interest even in our very early stage companies. And typically the way they like to approach this is indeed first establish collaboration, do some experiments together. They all have their own parameters they like to see first before the next step. So I think that's a trend that will be continuing and will be increasing because it's very hard to find the really novel targets, novel approaches. So especially the big biotech is very eager in this field.
Now comes the pharma partner, right? So what are we doing? We are dealing in oncology more and more with highly unpredictable mechanisms, right? So the more we look to find new modalities, the higher the risk is, right? And you guys in the room are taking a tremendous risk, right? And the story that I tell, and I haven't told this to this audience, is a lot of stories. So everyone talks about the acquisition, but before the acquisition came our licensing deal for the first anti-fusion molecule Lautec, right? And when Josh and Jake started to develop it, they took it from array and they put it into patients with anti-fusions. And when they first presented this, I remember this very clear. It was at JP Morgan. It was via the ISA partners. And we looked at this, and I think many in the room did maybe too, and they said like, oh my God, there is another TKI. What do we do with this, right? Is it really something special? Because science at this point was not as advanced as it is now. There was one paper on anti-fusions, right? So yes, pharma partners, what we did is we took a liking and then we entered into a licensing deal. But when you look at cell therapy and IO, it's too late, right? You as small companies, it's very hard and it takes a lot of investment to move these kind of technologies forward. So what we at Bayer do is we take equity investments. We actually take board seats, equity investments. We are there with our expertise and with our money, but we let you drive the process. And at a point in time when we believe that we have met our inflection points, then there are exit strategies for us like we did with Blue Rock, where we actually acquired the company. So traditional partnering will go on, but I do believe Travis said M&A in 2020, maybe Celgene, BMS, I mean, Charlie did a great deal, right? But it was really one outlier, right, that actually skewed the entire field. But I believe that M&A for new technologies will still be the major deal type.
Sorry, I think it's maybe just adding on the gap in the pharma pipeline is not getting as well. And as you see with these mega mergers, there is even more of an effort to cut down R&D or in-house. So M&A will continue. Oncology is getting earlier and earlier. But if you really dig down into the deals that are done, you can actually see how a clear path those companies actually drive towards the patient in an earlier stage. So I think we all have more homework that we need to do today than we did 5-10 years ago.
Maybe just a bit on that, I think the market's been kind of incredible for so long, and it's expecting to slow down. Obviously, it's going to happen at some point in terms of the IPO and the market in the life sciences, but again, the gap in pharma is not closing, and cancer is still going to be the second leading cause of death. So I think even if there is a market slowdown, you may see the public markets not as hospitable as they are now, but I think from an acquisition standpoint, we don't really see any serious signs for any major concern about a slowdown anytime soon.
In terms of when you're looking for new opportunities in oncology, what kind of investment criteria do you use, or what do you find compelling in terms of the mechanism of action, treatment modality, etc.? What are you looking for right now?
Truly, we are agnostic. We go where the science takes us. We don't have a sweet spot where we say it has to be this, right? Because if we really narrow in on one thing, it might fail next time. But if you see something that really is different and the science is really solid, this is where we go.
That's one thing I only can confirm. I think one of the big challenges is, I will give you an example. For this week here around JP Morgan, we got 120 companies willing to talk to us. So you can imagine how difficult it is to stand out of the crowd. And all the Me Too's, all the new checkpoint blockers, etc. That's going to be a very tough game. So indeed what we are looking for is completely novel approaches. That can be small molecules, that can be all kind of different interactions, protein-protein inhibitors, etc. But it should be differentiating, and there are very few actually. Yeah, that's very tough. So you have to make sure that you have something really unique in hand, and you really have to look at the field. How differentiated am I compared to my competitors? Because there are a lot of out there. And, we can award approximately 1 to 2% of the opportunities we see, and it counts for everybody here, I guess. So it's a tough game. Although there's a high need for novel technology, it's still difficult to get in.
So, I guess, we all have kind of various checklists, so what we like and what we don't like, and I'm not sure how useful it is. I guess, just looking at examples of what we have actually done in the past year, 18 months, whatever, from our end, is that we're focused on kind of two angles. The novel targets, so untouched spaces that may have significant change in the treatment paradigms. And we have gone in there with various modalities, various angles. We did quite a lot of work on RNA targets and epigenetic RNA targets. And then there is the other angle of new biology that can come out with targets that we thought we knew, where the biology is just opening up. And that's another angle that we have actually pushed at. But on both cases, I concur with my peers here that the differentiation you've got to work out pretty early on in your programs to be able to attract attention both from the investor side and also on the pharma side.
What kind of a data package do you guys look for as investors? And kind of on the flip side of that, what kind of a data package do you think would attract M&A big pharma to come in? You mentioned that they're coming in earlier, but what's kind of the bar nowadays in terms of what you guys want to invest in and then how you see it exit?
So maybe I can start from here, just where I ended the previous question. So if you look at the kind of the biology side of targets that we thought we knew, then you really want to have a very clear definition of this is the new biology, this is all the checkpoints that we have gone through, not IO checkpoints, but checkpoints, digital checkpoints, that that we actually have the preclinical data that confirms the biology. We have a way of selecting our patients, so our signal is not lost in a trial that actually doesn't get to a proper end. So that's one thing where you have actually quite a lot of checkboxes to be ticked to convince you that it's a good opportunity. On the new biology, on the new target side, we actually gone pretty early. We have gone in after Nature papers, just an example of the Nature, with academic groups who have been well known in this space of being quite productive, and set up companies and teams and driven them from literally seed of hundreds of thousands of dollars to 100 whatever million that it would be forward.
Yeah.
So I think we have a little bit of a different view on this as the impact of the Cancer Society. And then, we really try to focus our investments on things that are going to change patient outcomes from the patient perspective. We want a return on our investment, but we want to make sure that our investments are aligned with the ACS mission. So I think one of the things that we really focus on when we make investments is how can we measure those outcomes? What kind of evidence packages can we put together to get a good measure on those outcomes? How can we help our portfolio companies really kind of generate that evidence? What can the ACS resources do to help generate those evidence packages? And then just how to kind of turn that into a compelling story for acquiring.
Yeah, maybe a little bit to add. The earlier, the original, or the science the thinner the package usually is when you dare to step in. And sometimes it indeed takes 1 to 2 years. And what we then try to do in that beginning phase is to do the killer experiments. Can we prove that it's not working? I think that's also a lesson for most biotechs. You always try to do the experiments to confirm that you're on the right track. But actually you should look for those experiments that if they don't work, we're on the wrong track. So that's what we try to do at a very early phase to kill the company and the technology. And if that's not feasible, then it should be good. So that's the other way around.
Killing is sometimes the hardest part, right? So when we do an equity investment, what we really look for is companies that have platform technologies, right? For us, taking a very early asset or idea is very binary risky, right? So there's this one-trick pony, and how much is to follow, what is the right real valuation, especially if you do a consortium with other VCs. So we really look for differentiated platforms, right? In the cell therapy area, for instance, in the gene therapy area. So we're really looking to not bring in the one asset very early, but an entire, or partake in an entire platform. When we look at later stage assets, we are more willing to take the minor risk, but we can't agree more with all of you. It has to be a truly novel, differentiated asset that will make a meaningful impact on patients' lives, right? Otherwise, it's very hard in the current economic environment, especially in Europe pricing, right? All the checkpoint inhibitor combinations. Yes, they are nice to have, but how to price in Europe is another question. How do we really show the economic benefit for both parties? In the US, there's an election coming up, no one really knows the outcome. So there is a lot of uncertainty. So we really look for monotherapy activity from novel molecules. And you know, sometimes when small companies come in and I see the commercial slide, right, don't come necessarily in with commercial slides and say, oh, this is a $1 billion blockbuster. I can't believe this. We will not have these blockbusters anymore. We will have precision oncology. Each of us will come in and we will test us and they will tell us what is our custom-made treatment. And for this, yes, the insurance company will pay. But not for all of us in the room, because we all don't get the same suit, right? We all go to different places to buy our pills. So we all go to our doctor and get our specific treatment, and our insurance company will pay for this specific treatment because it will actually predict the outcome. Hence, show the benefit early on.
So yeah, to that end, it's very
Really passionate statement. I'm really passionate about this meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, so just speaking of the future, kind of where things are headed, you know, when you think of the current state of innovation, do you think it's crowded? I mean, there's like 30 or so anti-CD19 approaches right now. There's so many CAR Ts. You know, there can only be so many on the market that would actually, you know, make it. So what do you think of the current status of innovation in oncology, and what do you think, you know, companies that are here can differentiate themselves?
I think what we have seen from the investment point of view, and also having a bit of visibility on what the other companies doing in research, the innovation has been pretty good over the last year. We have a lot of projects that we see either in academic setting or in companies that are looking at, again, novel targets, novel mechanisms of trying to handle the disease, novel biomarker approaches that can really tighten down the patient population to get to that payer question later on. So we're very happy with the innovation that we see. If you look at, of course, the multiple approaches per target, you know, that's just a part of the industry that you will have multiple people doing the same thing.
No, it's true. I think scientifically wise, innovation goes extremely fast. It's like the ICT world. It's almost going exponential. The knowledge we have. When I started a long time in oncology drug development, it was using plant extracts and trying to find. You had a problem, and you try to find some information and make it work. And I think we now need to think the other way around. We have so much information that we need to think, what can we solve with this information? So, and then well, we have the single cell sequencing. We have all the tools in hand right now. So it's a different ballgame, drug development, but innovation goes extremely fast.
So
So, I mean, I think in terms of the question, are things getting crowded? The answer is absolutely. Innovation is moving fast, but the point's been made that, you know, we can invest in maybe 1% of the deals we see. I'd like to invest in more, but, you know, we can't. So, in terms of how to differentiate yourself, I think just being able to show that you have a very clear understanding, not just of the science, but what is the regulatory pathway, what is your pathway to commercial success, you know, IP scalability, how well do you understand that, what are all the inflection points along the way, do you have this clearly mapped out? I think for me, as an investor, demonstrating that you understand all of those things and market access to some extent, although not just super early stage, but just really clearly showing that you have a team in place that understands that and can kind of meet those milestones, and you've thought about this in a very clear path. That's one of the most critical things to me, probably even more important than the science in some cases.
So what really impressed me most is the progress that we made with regards to testing. It's still not where we should be, but we are moving towards the right kind of end game. And when you think about new ideas and what really could make a difference, for us it's important. Yes, the team is very important. Do you have a good team? Sometimes there are big names that, you know, attract a lot of money. Is it always the right thing? I don't know, right? And sometimes people who don't have the big names don't necessarily get the attention from pharma partners or the investors. But if you come and explain something to me, what I always like to see is, did you really think of what is the patient population, so biomarkers? Did you really, the commercial part, please don't think about this, right? Because this comes so far out and the world is changing so fast. But give me something that excites us, right? That is not like another BTKI, right? Give me something that maybe I don't understand yet, but if you explain it to me, really shows me that there is something that we should probably do together. And for this, I believe that the VCs, as well as the pharma companies, are still having big pockets to support. So really something biomarker-driven, patient population that can be stratified. It's good for you and good for us, because we together actually de-risking the compound in a very kind of problem addressing and risk adjusting manner, right? And we spend the money where we really believe the science drives us, and not on all-comers or this all-comer patient population that we did in prostate, right? 1,500 patients. There are the 2 studies. Where can you find these patients today? Not in the US, right? And then do me another favor. Make sure that you have good clinical trial sites. Because we come in, and I saw this over and over, you have beautiful science, right? Really gorgeous science. And then I say, okay, so where did you do the trials? And then I don't say where I don't like to do the trials, right? Then I spare that part. But then I look at it and I say like, oi. And then I say another oi, oi. And then I say to my team, oi, we have to really check the case reports forms. We have to send the teams to wherever the trials were done. And then we look at the case report forms, and the whole study is a jeopardy. And you probably know what I mean, right? So rather invest in identifying the right trial sites, minimizing the number of patients that you need by utilizing a very clear biomarker strategy, and addressing novel targets.
Yeah, I think it's really important for patient enrollment to have the right person on the oncology side to get all the science in there. Kind of shifting gears a little bit to exits and how you kind of look at exit strategies. Do you look for a certain path in your investments, whether it's M&A or you like IPOs, and what do you think? How does that kind of shape your investment strategy?
So, I guess when you think of an exit strategy for an oncology company, I'm not sure if you can actually define that. I think what one usually will focus on the best is to make sure that you have a question to answer. And you have a hypothetical amount of money in a pot that you will have that will come in tranches to answer that question. So I think that's probably the best way to look at it. I have my answer in 4 years' time. How do I work backwards to understand what I need to actually get that money and convince people along the way to believe the same things that I believe and demonstrate that in such time. And I think if you follow that path, someone along the line that you're carrying along with you, be that VCs or pharma, someone will make the jump to actually make sure that they benefit from the research that you've done. On the IPO side, and IPO stories are quite different. If you look at the public market over the last 2 years, very few preclinical companies have actually gone on to the public market, be that platforms or assets, because public market is public market. So you have a lot of specialists and you have a lot of generalists that are buying and selling those shares. They need to see news that come out that give them the comfort that keeping their money in your company versus Apple or Facebook or whatever is going to make them money. And in some of the early stage companies, you have whole dead periods or no news, which is very natural, but it's not going to keep anybody excited about keeping their stock in the company. So I think that's probably a good start.
No, and it also depends a little bit on what you were already explaining as well. If you have a single agent or a single drug company, that the opportunities are not that wide for your exit. An IPO with one drug is a no-go. So then usually it will be either raising money, and taking the market to sell or getting acquired. We always like to invest in platform technologies, and then you've got the story of Hakan. Development and all the options remain open during the value creation.
Do you have a preference between platform companies and single assets and oncology?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which one?
Platform.
Okay.
No, that's pretty black and white. If you come up with one compound that should be extraordinary, that should be some sort of work. Yeah. I don't think we will ever step in such a company. For us, since we are very early stage, we would rather like to see a technology which is broadly applicable and you can move different ways. Because you always will encounter unpredicted topics and then you will need to be flexible.
Yeah. I mean, for those, I guess from the investor side, we'll look at it as a bit of a risk management, right? So single asset, yes, the cost of developing that thing is potentially a lot lower than doing a platform. But at least in many of our investments, when we look at project development opportunities, there is very rarely just one program that goes forward in the company. You have 2 or 3 to make sure that you have multiple shots on goal within the same investment.
We actually have done a couple single asset companies, and it is very risky, but at the same time, our strategy with that is that they're very low cost. You have semi-virtual companies. They outsource a lot of the work to CROs. If it doesn't work, you haven't spent tens of millions of dollars. You spent a couple million. It doesn't work, and you know pretty early on whether you move forward or not.
And I think that's a good point, just so we don't discourage anyone with a single asset company. You build a portfolio, right? And you want some platform companies, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then if you have 1 or 2 single asset companies, which are low cost, maybe a little bit higher risk, but maybe lower maintenance, it might make sense to have one of those.
Yeah.
But sometimes, if you have, and I agree with everything you said, right? Absolutely. But sometimes, Travis, the single asset companies, right, if they mature, right, and the first indication doesn't work out, the second, and we know all of them. There are a couple of those, right? The second, then you find those companies in search of indications, right? And then it becomes a little, so then the investor is actually faced with a very, very difficult choice, right? Because the compound is already compromised. Big pharma is like idea, right? How do I explain to my board that the compound failed in those 2 indications, but here it's really interesting from the science perspective, and your entire valuation gets discounted, right? So that's like a little bit way of finding multiple applications.
In terms of your deal flow, obviously conferences like this are great, but how do you get deal flow and see opportunities? You mentioned, I think, a couple hundred a year, investing in the 1 or 2%. Where do all of those companies come from?
I think for us it's pretty simple because we only do oncology drug development. And that means that people who are looking for money in oncology drug development, they come to us. So we are very easy to find, but also our whole network, all our experts and all our people are in the oncology space. So quite frequently through our advisory board or our colleagues, they say, well, you should talk to that academic group, they have some new findings. So to be honest, I think a third of our portfolio is not coming through all the biotech business plans that you receive, but just through your own connections.
I guess one of the biggest wells that continue giving is the technology transfer.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that's probably the first time that a very smart idea is kind of structured into a potential commercial application, potential drug that can treat a patient population. And those networks we value a lot, and we actively develop them. We have created companies coming out of various universities over the years, and of course the network. I mean, if we have opportunities in oncology, you kind of go to similar-minded people. So I would give a call to Mark because they're looking at a lot of oncology deals. You would connect to your other repeat entrepreneurs that also hear about opportunities. So at the early stages, it's pretty broad.
Yeah, I think we're lucky as the venture wing of the ACS. We kind of have a built-in tech transfer office. Really, we have a number. We give $100 million a year to grantees for various research projects. A lot of them, we'll never try to take anything any further than that, but some of them certainly will try to turn those into commercial opportunities. And so, we're fortunate we get a lot of our deal flow coming from those grantees. I don't know, maybe half of it comes from that. The other half just comes from, the standard deal flow pipeline that we have with all our city partners.
And I think you mentioned something about team and entrepreneurs. What kind of criteria do you look for in the management team? Us, we don't necessarily prefer or need to invest in, the CMO of AstraZeneca, for example. But there are a lot of successful people come from pharma that were a lead scientist or a lead BE person. What kind of criteria do you look for in the team that you invest in?
So it all depends on the stage of the company that you're building, creating, pushing forward. So at the early stages, we do have a lot of academic involvement. PIs are involved. You put chemists in place, etc. As the company grows, your needs change. So I think in the core of it, what you really need is very diligent people that are very clear telling the nuances of the story in a succinct enough manner that can really get people engaged. I think that's probably what it is, because as Mark said, if you see 190 deals a year, we're probably lower attention span than Drosophila. That sounds strange. And that isn't. It's a collective criticism. So I think that's part of what you look at teams, and obviously the experience of having done it before is highly valuable.
Yeah. No, in that sense, I think it's pretty rare that from the very early startup companies, usually the scientist starts a company, and there are only very, very few who can make the whole way with the company. So usually the scientist is for the first coming years, he's the leader, and then as SVC, we try to help build the whole team around it. But there definitely will come a next step in most of the cases. Another CEO will take over more on the clinical side, and the third one will more on the business side. So a CEO position for a startup company, principal, you have to take care of it. You have to realize that it will not be a lifetime job and that there might be some changes during the growth of the company.
And the point was made earlier, they don't need to be big names. They don't, and they may not even want big names, frankly. I didn't mean to make that point earlier. It's just making sure you have people that can tell us the same story in a very coherent manner. And just as long as they understand these are the milestones we need to hit, this is how we're going to hit them. That's all your team needs to do. And I say that's all, and it's a small feat, but it's that's much more important than having kind of a very flashy team.
Well, I think we have a little over 10 minutes left. I think if we can do Q&A, maybe you can just speak really loudly and try to wing it. But if anyone has any questions for the panel, go ahead.
My question was, we talked about other areas. What about digital health? Can you share a little bit about your thesis, your interest, what you look for? Just more about that space.
Digital health.
So we tend to not do digital health only because it tends to be pan health. There are certainly cancer-specific digital applications, but given that our focus is 100% oncology, we kind of stay away from that. So I don't know.
So we announced this in 2009 a big digital deal, right? Was the 14. I think it was 14 different companies under an umbrella, but it was across therapeutic areas. So right, oncology is a little bit kind of different, and the rest, like women's healthcare, is pretty heavy on it. Kind of cardiovascular, right? So oncology is a little bit of a laggard in this. Still for me, I don't know how you guys see that, but it's coming, and will probably explode one day because we are all there. But the rest of us, we don't see it yet, but it's not there yet.
I think there is a strong promise, especially with Bayer doing digital health for all the medications. So check for Bayer.
Thank you.
And we invested in a company that is looking at combining AI with very large data sets to identify potential patient populations and subgroups that drugs can be efficacious in.
That's a great point. Given the complexities of cancer research, that's where I think there's a ton of room. In cancer, helping doctors make decisions.
Right.
I don't know if this came up before. I got it, but could each one of you actually share what's most exciting to you in oncology in terms of platforms? This is a tough question, but there are probably many platforms that are exciting. But I thought maybe each one can just mention quickly if there is one platform or that you're most excited about. Because you mentioned that it's really important that you differentiate it, right?
Yeah.
So what do you consider differentiated?
Well, I think that this is an extremely difficult question because there is not one sexy platform that we all should be working on. It exactly is the other way. That there are the platforms that we don't know yet, or for instance, we incubated the company on endosomal escape, which is a novel approach. Many drugs don't work because they don't come into the cytosol in the right place, and those kind of technologies, yes, we love. But there are many different. We are also together with a company on protein inhibitors. Completely novel technology, novel platform, but completely different. So, no, there's not one platform say, well, this is where you should go after because.
I couldn't agree more. If I would say like I like really autologous go to allogeneic, I would be lying, right? I really, wherever the science goes, this is where we are, right? It's not. It's not one platform, it's what really the platform can deliver towards the patient. That's at the end what we are looking for.
And in that sense, you could better look the other way around. Where are the critical pitfalls still in our drug development process? Where do drugs fail? Why do they fail? And if you come up with a solution for that problem, then you have a very interesting platform.
So, I mean, I would agree that there's not one platform that's going to be more compelling than anything else. I would say that for us, against the Cancer Society, that anything that's kind of making, facilitating easier screening, earlier diagnosis is, I think, in my opinion, what's really going to drive outcomes over the next, call it, 5 years. I mean, there's a lot of technologies that are going to be incredible 10 years down the road, very game-changing, but the low-hanging fruit, I guess, to me, just seems to be get more people in to get screened and get the screening to be more effective. And right away, it changes the game.
Maybe as a last add, I guess, what we all get excited about is additional insight into what may happen in a certain disease and oncology field, right? So, you have modalities, you have ways of actually identifying the patient populations, and then you have technologies that can actually open up more defined target spaces that hopefully will get to patients, reducing side effects. I mean, most of oncology drugs are toxic drugs that will have significant side effects. Although we're improving, we're not there yet. So, I mean, that was the whole rush behind people getting into modulating RNA transcripts rather than hitting proteins or DNA, with the hope that you can actually address a number of other targets that may act in a different way to get into your Amazon. So, I mean, platform, the word itself kind of gets a little vague after a while, but it's a novel technology that we're trying to help along the way to get to something that can use it.
Maybe want to add, if I may, I have to commit we have a little sin because what we were talking about the clinical development, clinical strategies, clinical trials, combination trials. It is impossible if you look how we're currently operating with the IO compounds, all different. It's a black box, and we treat hundreds of patients in all different ways. I have no clue why we do it. So what we did is we made an investment in organ-on-a-chip technology, a platform, as we feel that these kind of technologies are really going to be game changers in the whole drug development process. Because now you can semi-high throughput test all the different combinations in the plate. You say, well, this patient should have compound A and E, and she should have A and B. So we feel that that's a really important factor of the future, and we made an investment outside of the real drug development process.
Good question.
Yeah, my name is Deepa Madhavan and I trade in innovation, which is basically a managed healthcare organization. I'm going to anchor my question around cost, quality, and more specifically access. What are some of the innovative alliances pharmaceutical companies are seeking and sensing or shaping with providers and payers so as to impact access to the drug or the treatment for the patients?
Is that access to medicines and control costs? How are the pharma companies innovative ways to control costs?
So what we are doing is we control costs. Yeah.
No, I guess my question is they are controlling costs.
What are they?
It's probably how we can control costs that we actually develop medicines like Vitrakvi for patients who do 100% benefit from our product. So only patients with enteric fusions after testing will be put on the drug, and hence the insurance companies, and we talked to all of the insurance companies beforehand, agreed if you can show, and that's not only in oncology, that's in cardiovascular the same, only if you can show the true benefit will we pay for it. And that's for us one measure of cost control. If you have all the IO companies and you have no clue in knowing will the patient benefit or only bear the side effects, the toxicities, that's for me a little bit of a different story. As if I would be a payer, I would say like, for what do I really pay? What's the benefit? But if I identify the patients, right? And I say, I can tell you, if you are tested and you have this particular fusion, and you are treated with this drug, that you are benefiting 100% from this drug.
That's right now. I'm just asking for, is there any new models of partnerships that you're looking for?
For gene therapy, I mean, in other kind of areas, of course, there are annuity payments, right? There are multiple different payment plans that have to be structured to pay for rare diseases. I mean, who will cough up 1.5 billion up front, right? Here for this, and here's your treatment, and no one can do this, right? So of course, there have to be novel kind of payment structures developed between payers and insurance companies and pharma partners, right, or biotech, in order to find a solution to the problem of increasing pricing. Yeah. If this is like, we see this, right, in gene therapy, we have the first couple of on the market.
I think the best solution is have better drugs.
In the future,
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Can the panel comment on the modality of cancer vaccines? Everybody likes the idea of precision medicine and peer development companies that into personalized cancer vaccines. And now with neon vaccines moving away from that, we'd really like to understand from the investor perspective what are the pain points and whether there is that going to affect investment.
That's a good question. Kirsha?
I didn't completely.
Cancer vaccines.
Cancer vaccines.
Yeah.
Just there's some setbacks with neon and vaccines turning away from that. Just want to understand from your perspective what is the
Yeah, no, I must say I'm a true believer. Actually, we started the company on neoantigens in 2005, when immuno-oncology didn't exist at all. A company called Pharmaceuticals, in which we really could activate the immune system and show that the T cells were attacking the cells, etc. And that was actually at that time we didn't dare to mention the word therapeutic vaccines or cancer immunotherapy, and everybody said it's not going to work. We're now 15 years later, and it's the hot thing in oncology. But still, we understand only a very small part. So we know we can identify neoantigens, we know we can trigger the immune system to recognize them, but the immune system is much more complex. We know the tumor microenvironment, even if you induce a very strong T cell response, there are suppressor cells, there are cytokines that prohibit the action, and then of course, second layer is checkpoint blockers, where you get active immunization with checkpoint blockers, and then still, by far, all patients are reacting. So we have a number of parameters that we need to sort out, and I think that will happen in the coming years. So we're making good progress, and I think it's one of the real forefronts of cancer therapy, absolutely.
And I think I would lump in oncolytic viruses in that category too.
There's been some setbacks, but I think there's a lot of promising technologies out there. So, well, I'm sorry, we're out of time, but maybe we can come back after. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.